Okay, hi, it's Dom, founder of Student CRM, and we're going to look at Automations Manager. So a very quick webinar just to go through what this new app does. So in this 30-minute webinar, which is in fact going to be shorter, we're going to look at how does Automations Manager work? How does this make your life better? The apps you can automate in, and then automating in ENQ, MEC, PRQ, and RAP. Slight differences between each of those. We're then going to look at how you can monitor the performance of the automations you've set up. And then the practical part, we'll build 3 automations, and then we'll look at the future of Automations Manager as well. So the first part, how does Automations Manager work? Well, the idea behind automations is your recruitment teams use it to configure and then manage any automations. And the idea is they routinely carry out specified actions when certain processes run. So on the right hand side, we can see that every time a process occurs, and in this case, it's listing out for the process if inbound email creates a record in your inquiries app. Okay, so that's the process it listens out for. The second thing it says, and this condition is met. So you can then say, I only want certain IEMs to be run this automation. So in this case, it's saying, if it's been forwarded from your finance inbox into inquiries, then it'll meet the criteria. So the conditions are met there. Then it will carry out the action. And in this case, it's going to replace the field content, or in other words, update the field category with finance. So I'll explain later why that is a good thing to do for IEMs. So how does this make your life better? Well, first, it'll save you time, so you never have to carry out manual tasks again. Second, it extends your powers. So it allows you to get inside your processes like never before. I'll cover that a little bit later. Thirdly, it optimizes how you work, so you can now create rules that work for you and do lots of the heavy lifting. And fourth, it is just so easy to use. Like a lot of automation routines inside Student CRM, you just set it and forget it. So the apps you can automate in, today you can automate in inquiries, mobile event capture, prospectus requests, and rapid response. And the grayed out ones are currently on our roadmap because we are also introducing applications, student database, and the 3 event apps, EVM, POD, and AOD. So those are the apps you can automate in at the moment, and the other ones are coming soon. So if we look at automating in inquiries, we know that the first trigger, which is you look out for this thing, and it is an inquiry comes in. So on the left-hand side, we look at the conditions. You can set a condition if category is, if channel is, if message contains, etc. So those are all your conditions. And on the other 2/3 of the screen, we look at the actions. So actions in inquiries can update the category, the owner of the priority of that inquiry. But more importantly, it can also update fields from the student database record card as well. So if a message contains a thing, maybe it's got a particular phrase in it, then you can update the record card. And of course, the most useful one of those is down the bottom right, which is adding a tag. In mobile event capture, you've got a few more fields to operate on conditions, because unlike an inquiry, the mobile event capture web form on your iPads, not in huge usage at the moment, I agree, because of COVID, they allow you to use any of the fields that the student has completed on their form, which tend to be a lot more fields than an inquiry. So we've got MEC, any of the mobile event capture fields down there, and then the student database fields that are entered on the screen. So you could set up a condition to look for if they type the mobile number in X, then do a thing. And the actions on the right-hand side are this time just updating records on the student database. It's much the same for prospectus requests and for rapid response. So I won't go into too much detail on those two, but it's the same principle that applies. Once you've set up an automation, then it runs and it charts every single time the automation does run. So it doesn't chart if it runs and does not get triggered to run. So in other words, it's listening all the time. If you get 20 inquiries in and only 3 of them qualify to be run as an automation, you'd only get 3 on this chart. So this is an example where one of our universities is currently running automations. I think they've got 12 automations running. This is one of them. So you can see each day they're getting quite a lot of value from the app itself. What we're going to do is to build 3 separate automations now. I will go into New Forest University and I will look at the 3 automations and we'll build them out together. Okay, so here we are in Automations Manager, being the primary app on my homepage. When I click into this, I've filtered by automation. So I just want the ones that I've prepared in advance, automations 1, 2, and 3. And of course, I can filter by the different processes that are available in the different apps. I'm going to go into automation number 1, and let's look at how we build this. So automation number 1, what it wants to do is it wants to add a team to a student record based upon the postcode area. Okay, so let's look at how we set that up. The settings for this are the process, then the conditions, and the actions. Let's expand this and take a look. So what I do is I choose the process I'm looking for, and I'm looking for when a web form creates a record. I then look at a target app. This one is in rapid response. And then I pick one or more occurrences that it runs on, because you can have one application, one automation running across many applications, occurrences. So that's the process. The second part is the conditions. And you'll notice that if I run a second condition, then it can either match any of the following conditions and the operator or it can match all of the following conditions and the operator and. So let me get rid of that and just expand this. So we've said we want to assign teams based on a postcode. So that's quite simple. We look at the condition. So we're looking at any postcode areas that are one of the list, and the list is BHDT, SP, and PO. So anyone who types a full postcode in, the postcode area is automatically calculated, and then it'll find and qualify only those postcodes. And of course, it will carry out the action. And the action is to replace the field content in the team with a value. And we've only got 2 teams here, so we're going to choose UK recruitment. So once that's done, we simply set it to active and we change the status, and that is now up and running. So in this one, we have added a team based on a postcode. Let's go back and look at automation number 2. Automation number 2 assigns an inquiry to a category if it comes in via IEM, in other words, there is no web form, and it is about my application. So let's have a look at the settings for this one. When a web form creates a record in inquiries, okay, in fact, I want it if an IEM creates a record in inquiries, and I want to put it into domestic inquiries. Then the following conditions apply. So I'm going to add a condition here, and I'm going to say that if the forwarded from, okay, is finance, no, let's say admissions. Okay, so if your forwarding rule forwards email sent into you to admissions and then forwards them into IEM, then those ones I want to replace the category with not accommodation, admissions. Okay, so what I've done here in this one is I've said that if IEM creates a record in a certain occurrence and it's been forwarded from, so you've got some useful fields in here, forwarded from a particular address at your university, then of course it can replace the field content of inquiry category with admissions. Save. So that's the second one done. And the third one we'll look at is the automation 3, which is updating the student stage. So as we know, a stage on a student's record takes them from inquiry to enrollment. And we will look at how this one is built. So if a web form creates a record in rapid response, and we're going to say anyone comes in from domestic inquiries. Now, if the form itself, because we've specifically want to target this condition only to people that fill out a form, and the form that you would build for this is, if you intend to apply, please complete this form, okay? So we know that all completions of that form qualify, so it's quite a wide condition. If this form is completed, then in the action, what we're going to do is we're going to replace the stage, so we're going to upgrade their stage to intends to apply. So this allows you to collect an intent from a student completing a form. One quick note, whenever you are using stages and you are automating stages, stages only ratchet up. So if somebody who has applied is at stage 4 and they make a subsequent inquiry, their stage will not be downgraded to inquiry. It'll only ever go up and up and up. That's just a quick side note. So those are the 3 automations we've looked at. Let's just finish off the webinar. So what's the future of Automations Manager? Automations Manager is currently undergoing quite a lot of investment from the team. So we know the power of this, just the apps that are there already. We're also adding it into applications, that's both passive and active, into Event Manager, pre-applicant open days, and applicant open days. When you look at your roadmap, which you can get from your jump menu inside the login, then please have a look at all of the jobs that are open. You can then filter by here, and you can also look at the progress. We have included a due date on the right-hand side. That means it will be shipped in that month. So I will just draw this to a close now and say that JJ is always happy to send you a quote and to look at your needs in terms of an AMM automation. Thank you.